Good morning. It is 9:45 on the platform this Friday morning. Ben Espiner here for the next 5 minutes or so. Friday morning between the hours of 9 and 10 usually means it's about time for Holier Than Thou. There's the theme music there. This is the weekly segment where we shed some light on some of those people in public roles or industries that either can't be bothered or think they're above engaging with everyday New Zealanders through the medium of glorious independent media. Now, getting the ball rolling this week is a returning contender by the name of Richard Wagstaff, and the group he represents, the Council of Trade Unions. As we all know, labour unions around the world are famous for being champions of productivity and have never once gotten in the way of someone looking to get something done. Last time the CTU made the list, they were ignoring invitations from myself to come on the show and discuss their perspective on the new government's rollback of fair pay agreements. This time, Wagstaff has come out in support of an Australian piece of legislation which would allow employees to ignore calls from their boss outside of work hours. Now, for various reasons, I'm actually quite keen to hear him out on that idea. I think he might have a point. But it raises questions about how that would work in practice in New Zealand across different industries with different pay scales, levels of significance in terms of the job's impact on the wider community, all questions which Wagstaff has once again deemed beneath him to answer. I think there are plenty of jobs in the public sector in this country where people are paid eye-watering annual compensation in exchange for being readily available to perform pressing tasks outside of work hours, like media managers for MPs and government organisations, for example, who've had plenty of practice ignoring calls from me. They're practically halfway there already. Regardless, Wagstaff is clearly more interested in sounding off on this idea than he is on boxing his corner for it, for the benefit of the people. So onto the list he goes. Next up is an opposition MP. Now, the Labour Party usually pretty good at least replying to our inquiries and giving us definitive answers, but in the case of local government spokesperson Kieran Melti, we've had no such courtesies. The government this week announced their local water done well policy with the intent of repealing and replacing the previous government's fiercely unpopular Three Waters proposal, a move which McAnulty dubbed a kick in the guts for ratepayers, suggesting that councils will inevitably have to raise rates to continue fighting off a decaying national water infrastructure, starving households of the thousands that have saved each year under Labour's plan. Now, that's all well and good, but I would think that, a prominent opposition MP who has opposing views on a policy devised by a government that it's his job to try and kick out would be a little more inclined to, talk about it publicly than he has been so far. But alas, my phone calls, texts and emails this week fell on deaf ears, and Mr. McAnulty finds himself on the list. Finally, in the field of thoroughly disinterested media management, there are none more adept than Wellington City Council and their story prevention officer, media manager Richard McLean, I think it is. As far as I'm aware, Mr. McLean could have quit the council, packed his bags, and left several months ago, because that's how long it's been since I've heard so much as a whisper from him. But their website still lists him as the go-to for journalists, and I think his LinkedIn still says that he is as well. Interview requests from me for certain councillors, questions for the mayor, information inquiries. Mr. McLean ignores the lot of them. The latest was a light-hearted inquiry I sent into the council on the origins of the recent weed dating events throughout Wellington. Some of you would have heard about this on the show this week, which saw the council encouraging those who were begrudgingly single on Valentine's Day to head down to the local rubbish pick-up gardening events and meet that special someone while simultaneously exhibiting your unwavering dedication to the environment. Well, evidently, this is yet another no-go topic for the council and its media manager, Mr. McLean, who ignored me once again when I asked who came up with the idea. Ghosted by Wellington City Council on Valentine's Day, no less. But seriously, if anyone knows Richard McLean, could they make sure he's all right? Because he's totally MIA for us, and I'm actually starting to wonder whether or not he ever existed in the first place, or if I just made him up in my head. That's Holier Than Thou for this week. All the people who refuse to play the game of engagement and conversations. We'll take a quick break, and Sean will be back to wrap the show up.